came up out the forest, they looked into my room. I was only 4 years old, I didn't know what to do. I was playing muscle men with a friend, I think the dude was named Vernon. He saw the M16s that stepped away from the curtains, and they kicked in the door. This is the DEA. They saw my father, and then they fucked up his face, and they cruised up the stairs with their M16s. They busted into my room and scared the fuck out of me. I saw my mama, I said, what the fuck's happening? She said, we're busted. I said, what the fuck does that mean? She said, for growing the weed under the basement floor. I said, the plant that dad smoked. She said, but there's more. They're gonna take up our house, they're gonna take all your toys, they're gonna take away data, they're gonna put them in bars, they're gonna take all our money, they're gonna take all your cake. The next day was my birthday, I'm not being fake. These motherfuckers, they're called the DEA, they're called the CIA, they're called the NSA, and today they listen to everything that you say, but you don't give a fuck, you just go about your day. They keep a file on everyone and we pretend that we're dumb. We sell all our metadata, it's worth more than a sum, but they don't give us back none because they know that we're numb. We got some stupid motherfuckers that just want to be safe, and they'll give up their freedoms, man, they'll give up their say. They'll spend $1 million on education just to join up the slaves. You're not American. Thoughts!
Oh, god damn. Click Tight just gets me so hyped every time I hear that opening. Click Tight, by the way, is an amazing hip-hop band. Well, not a band. I guess hip-hop people don't come in bands. It's a hip-hop group. I don't think they come in groups either. It's a bunch of fucking badass gangsters rapping. They're called Click Tight, and in 6 weeks their album comes out, and it's amazing. You should check it out. It's called Click Tight, Take It to 'Em. It'll be on all the platforms that you listen to hip-hop music on. Or if you listen to, Western music or classical music or pop, it'll be on that platform too. And you should check out Click Tight because they're fucking great. They really are. Like, I'm not tooting Click Tight. I'm not tooting Click Tight's horn. That's hard to say. I'm not tooting Click Tight's horn because they're produced by me. I'm tooting their horn because they're amazing musicians and amazing lyricists, and they make amazing poetry and music, and they're wonderful. And two albums. Hi, Katie. Hi, Dave. Dave had a crazy week. Oh, poor Dave Hildebrand. Hey, Chuck is back. Charles Pearson, Let Science Out to Play. Dangerous Thoughts is on the way. I think we should take that. We should take that when we're talking about science. Mala is clearly a mess tonight. Chris Leftwich says, what's up? And tonight we have Rob Sullivan. And I was just reading about Rob. He's a dynamic, inspirational speaker. He's a trainer whose life journey weaves together a rich tapestry of experiences. With a global presence, he's conducted workshops spanning diverse industries, drawing wisdom from his background in advertising and industries such as sales training and on-camera acting and options trading, all that kind of crazy life stuff, like options trading. That's some stressful shit right there. I don't know if I could do that. Sales training, on improvisation studies. The guy's amazing. I was looking at his picture. He's got his head shaved. And the amazing thing about Rob Sullivan is on his 48th birthday, February 18th, 2015, he received the devastating news of lymphoma manifested in massive tumors on his heart and his neck. However, what seemed like the worst news ever transformed into an unexpected blessing. And following 6 months of rigorous chemotherapy, Rob emerged cured. And it changed his entire life and outlook on the universe. And so that's pretty neat to me. I think anybody that is beaten cancer or beaten lymphoma. Also, it just so happens that a beautiful friend of mine named Adriana Mather, who wrote a bunch of brilliant books, actually, with her husband. Actually, they didn't write them together, but her husband is James Bird. And just like 2 years ago, she beat it as well. So it's not one of the cancers. Like lymphoma is blood cancer, right, Tyson?
Cancer of the lymph nodes. I mean, it might be blood. I thought leukemia was the blood cancer, but I'm not a specialist.
You're right. You actually, you're right. Lymphoma is of the lymph nodes, I think. But yeah. Okay, so maybe that's the easy cancer to beat. Is that what you're saying? You saying this guy isn't a miracle?
No,
You
actually,
saying
no. That's usually very fatal because when other cancers, whether it's melanoma, whether it's prostate, whether it's whatever cancer, breast cancer, can spread, and it usually spreads through the lymphatic system, the lymph nodes, and then that's how it
that's
spreads across the body. So, to have it in the lymph nodes means it's pretty
means
serious.
it's
So,
likely going to get to your other organs, and
right,
so if you beat that, you're a badass.
right.
So you're not saying Rob Sullivan isn't a badass.
He's a badass. He's a badass, and he
Okay.
looks like Bruce Willis. So I'm gonna, he's a
hmm
badass.
hmm Although I got to tell you, the last time I saw Bruce Willis, he didn't know his name was Bruce Willis.
Yeah, he's been going downhill. That's too bad.
Yeah, it is sad. And you know what?
Dementia, Alzheimer.
I'll tell you, we were going to talk about Star Crew a little bit, which is going great, by the way, as far as the pilot and the trying to get the series on the air. But maybe 4.5, 5 years ago, we were going to make Star Crew, and we got an offer to make it with Bruce Willis, and so we flew out to, I want to say Missouri, one of those states,
Eh,
right? Area. And some friends of mine had just made a few movies with Bruce, and they were showing me clips of the movies that they made of some of that, outtakes and clips. And he was already gone, and this was 4.5 years ago, and he had like his gun pointed, and they said, "Action, Bruce," and he just stood there and then started pointing the guns at extras and didn't know where he was, and it was really it was disgusting because it showed me how sick it is, and I learned on that trip that not only was Bruce out of it, and he could only give you 2 to 3 days, a week to work, but that was, I think it was $250,000 or $500,000 to get him to sign up, but that basically guaranteed in the Hollywood, you know, um mathematical equation of filmmaking profit that you would see 4 million to make your movie. So, if we could take Bruce, squeeze the blood from a stone and get everything out of him that we could while his manager ripped him off and other people, man, I'm going to get sued. While some people in his life were ripping him off, we could possibly shoot him as our bad guy and get to make Star Crew as a feature film. But after I saw the footage and I saw how sick he really was, and I saw how many people, not just in his inner circle, were taking advantage of him, but his outer circle, so many hanger-oners were taking advantage of him. I tried to call his agent and his lawyer to see if I could get Bruce on the line and be like, "Hey, Bruce, did you tell your family that you wanted to work really hard and do as many movies as you could? And if so, I'd love to work with you and I'd love to try this." But I couldn't get that far. It was like there were all these blocks in my way that were like, "He's fine, he's good." And it felt really sick to me. So I decided not to tie the proverbial um what's that hose in Die Hard? Fire hose around my waist and jump off a building with Bruce, even though I would have loved to. I would have loved to shot a movie with Bruce Willis, but I wasn't sure that I was going to get to shoot a movie with Bruce
We
Willis.
got Rob Zombot. That was pretty good.
Rob Zombot. Yeah, Rob Zombot did a great job. Uh, oh, you're going to get me in trouble. Rob. Oh, Rob's going to kill me if he sees this show.
I got his signature somewhere. I'll have to go look it up. We all got our shirt. Mike and I got our shirt signed by you and the rest of the cast. It was.
I mean, he's a famous guy. He's been
Oh,
in a million things, and I can't think of his name. Big Rob Parker. Rob.
No, I'm Parker. We got all the signatures from the Star Crew people.
I am going to take the time because that's so offensive to my buddy Rob, who's like a badass. He's like 280 pounds of muscle and he played the big Zombot in Star Crew, and will come back and play the character.
Dude looks scary without makeup, and once they put him in the
big,
makeup,
mean
it was
dude.
like, damn.
Rob Archer, good God, I
Rob
can't believe
Archer. Rob Archer.
Yeah, so Rob Archer played the big Zombot. So news of the week. What do we want to talk about, Tyson? Until Rob Sullivan shows up, not Rob Archer.
Rob's here.
Rob
Actually,
Sullivan.
Rob Sullivan's here.
Oh, cool. So let's do news of the week, and then we'll get to Mr. Sullivan. This week, lots of murder. There's a lot of murder everywhere, all the time. People kill each other all over the place, all the time. I watch this show with my girlfriend called People Magazine Investigates or something like that. And apparently people are just killing each other all the time. We have no clue how lucky we are not to have been murdered. We're old.
This week.
Like this week we should have been murdered, but it didn't happen to any of us. And it happens everywhere, constantly. Also, Gaza, Ukraine, Gaza, Israel. China gets an honorable mention in there somewhere. Gaza, and the Ukraine. That was this week's news.
Don't forget Dave.
Oh, yeah, Dave. Dave Hildebrand, one of our guests. Who comes on, and at the end of the show, he asks. He usually is one of the first to ask one of our guests a question. Dave Hildebrand got so drunk this week. He got so hammered. His clothes were on the floor and his self was in the laundry machine.
Something like that.
That's from Tyson. Just in case nobody laughed, that's Tyson's fault. But no, he was stumbling around, dick in the wind, totally fucking hammered, all over the house. And he made his way to the bathroom somehow, which is so surprising to me because when I'm drunk, I stumble all over the house. I mean, when I used to get blackout drunk, this hasn't happened in a long time, but I would stumble all over the house and pee on things thinking I was in the bathroom. Apparently, Dave made it to the bathroom.
Thank God.
And didn't
as
pee
long
on
as he
anything.
didn't pee, as long as he didn't pee in the sink and drink out of the toilet, he's fine. Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. We're talking about Dave here. But somehow he made it to the restroom and the kitchen. He's probably got something to eat. Didn't pee in the kitchen, which is where I peed when I was 16. When I was 16, I got so blackout drunk. I was at a party. I went out and I ripped the top off of the girl I was dating at the time's barbecue. And I came back inside and I threw it over me and I crashed out on the couch. And then like 4 hours later, everybody at the party said I sprung up from the couch and looked at everybody and peed all over the kitchen floor and all over the cookbooks. And I have no memory of it whatsoever. But Dave pulled one of those without the pee last night.
I bet Rob is really glad he joined the show right now.
Rob Archer?
Rob Sullivan.
Rob Sullivan.
No, Rob's going to tell us how to get back from these horrible things in life and how to get a positive spin and stop drinking. Because
I hope he has at least one story where he peed in the kitchen when he was a teenager.
I'm sure he did. Did you see his picture?
Damn.
I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. I'm sure he's been through some shit. I mean, look, the guy beat lymphoma. He's a badass. And he's going to teach us how to get, on a higher level and look at life in a more positive way. And Dave Hildebrand wants to stop drinking. Maybe Rob can tell him how. Anyway, everyone from Dangerous Thoughts, this is also some news, is trying to quit smoking. All of us, me, Tyson, Cassie, and we've been trying to quit for at least 6 months. Tyson's tried the patch, putting a dick in his mouth instead of a cigarette. All sorts of gum chewing, all the things that they offer. No luck. We've all failed miserably. That's the news. And supposedly it's all my fault because I come over here after Cassie has like 4 days of not smoking and I have cigarettes and he's like, "Oh, I'll have one of yours since I have." It's all your fault, Manu.
It's your fault, Manu.
Because you came over with cigarettes. So let's bring on Rob Sullivan. I introduced Rob to the listeners. He shares his transformative journey, delving into the tools for self-trust, intuition, and merging Eastern and Western wisdom. Discover inspiration and resilience for your own path. See, I was on the right. I knew what I was talking about. Of healing and self-discovery as he recounts his battle with cancer and triumph. Rob Sullivan, thank you for joining us.
Hey, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Hey, yeah, no doubt. So you wrote a book called A Trek Within. Tell me a little bit about this book.
Yeah, this is something that I really didn't expect to write, and it was a long time coming. The tumors that you were talking about turned out to be the missing chapter, and really what it is it's about embracing unexpected truths. There's a lot of things that I was not raised to believe, but that I've come to accept, and each chapter covers that. So whether we're talking about dreams or intuition or past lives or whatever, there's a lot of things that really ended up being dots that got connected on the journey that I never really expected. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to write this. Didn't really have, I'm not trying to start a new religion, don't really, it's not like a self-help book in the classic sense, because I'm not, I don't have a particular agenda. It was more like, hey, I had this really wild journey and it changed me. And if it helps somebody else, fantastic. And if it doesn't, it's still fun.
I think every human being on Earth should write their memoir or what they've learned in this brief lifetime that we call our human experience on this planet. Yeah. So I'm proud of you for just writing that book. You also have a podcast called A Trek Within. Where's that?
Yeah, right. It's on, the easiest place to find it is YouTube, but it's also on Apple and a whole bunch of the web folks I'm working with, got it on a lot of those streaming platforms. So pretty much anywhere you can find a podcast, you'll find it.
So cool. So tell me about what A Trek Within means.
So for me, the whole thing was just about, there were a lot of signposts along the way on my journey. And, they only made sense in some respects when I turned around and looked back. And so it's about really paying more attention to what's happening in your life, whether you just some random things like, before I got the tumors, the number 555 used to appear to me a lot. And it happened. It was this weird crescendo where over a period of like 6 months, I went from seeing it occasionally to seeing it multiple times a day. And people around me, when I would bring it up, it'd be like, you're imagining it, it's crazy. But I was taking pictures of it. And one day, the funniest part was, this colleague of mine who she was skeptical about it. We were pulling out of a workshop that I was leading, and across the street, and there's a picture of this in the book, there was a sign for pizza that was $5.55. And it's like, I don't know where you live, but like, that's not a pizza price.
That's not a pizza price. Not these days.
Yeah, no, maybe, it's definitely not.
Yeah, maybe 20 years ago.
Yeah, not even for a slice.
and are you into numerology or
well, yeah, I wasn't, but that was the thing. That was one of the things that got me to realize, because in numerology, 555 means major life changes upon you. Now, when I, was seeing that, I started to read up on it to figure out what it meant. I'm thinking major life change, great, lottery, Swedish bikini team, bring it on. But, I was not thinking lymphoma, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. God throws hammers at you sometimes, but then the hammers turn out to be flowers sometimes, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, only if you can catch them, right?
Yeah.
That was really the key thing, because it was a gift. And people, even when I was going through it, I remember one friend of mine, she's a shaman and a medical intuitive, and she sent me a private message one day, and she's like, how are you doing really? Because I think she thought that the posts I was putting out were just, putting a sunshiny face on, what was a really difficult thing. And I'm not going to say it was a picnic. It was absolutely not. But It really was. I've never felt so much love in my life than when I went through that.
From friends, family, and people that
and complete strangers. People, who just showed up, who, really wanted to help. And it was amazing to me. One friend I hadn't seen in 20 years flew out from Pittsburgh, gave me a check for a bunch of money in case I needed it. At that point, I hadn't looked at my insurance thing, so I wasn't sure where that was going to end up financially. There's a band that I really liked.
This is America. You needed it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Well, I
Yeah.
was fortunate that I had good insurance, and the whole thing ended up costing me like $500 out of pocket. But it could have been a lot worse. Could have been devastating financially.
Yeah. Yeah. If you didn't have that insurance,
Yeah.
Lucky you.
Yeah.
I don't know
Exactly.
if I'd get the same. Well, love would come. That would handle it.
Right.
So a Trek Within. How did you beat it? First of all, for those out there that are fighting it,
there was the first line of defense. I had a Japanese healer that I did a lot of work with who had cured me of narcolepsy, which is also not something you get cured of. And he said, he goes, I can handle this, but he goes, Western medicine has a cure. There's no reason not to use it. And that was my whole thought, because I'm not one of these people who go, all out on random new age sort of things. And so I went through the usual, Western medicine thing, but I supplemented it with the Eastern. Which really helped, because there was a thing, tongue pain is a very real part of chemo for some people, and for me included. And it feels like, if you can imagine, not just like accidentally biting your tongue, but biting your entire tongue. If you can picture that, that's like what it felt like. And I remember one day I called them up and I'm like, I'm experiencing this. I need some help. And his assistant's like, we'll call you as soon as we can. He's treating somebody. I was like, okay. And I was literally unlocking my bike to ride back home from the doctor's appointment. And I felt it reduce immediately by like 40 or 50%. And I'm like, wow, Jay just treated me. And then a minute later, my phone rang, and Debbie, his assistant's like, Jay just treated you. I'm like, yeah, I know he did. And it was mind blowing.
So wait, the Eastern medicine guy treated you from another place with just thought, or?
Yeah, he was in New York, and he does energy healing. And and this is a guy who, I don't remember exactly how many years before, but in the early 90s, he cured me of narcolepsy. And I had gone through, the usual neurologists and all that kind of thing, because my dad was a doc at Northwestern Memorial in Chicago. I am not a poster child for alternative medicine. But when traditional medicine couldn't do anything for it, their solution was, you're going to take Ritalin and Prozac for the rest of your life. And by the way, drink more coffee. I'm like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen.
All right. So you've said a couple things about not being a poster child for Eastern medicine or new agey things. So what was your spiritual outlook before this, and how has it changed since looking into some new things?
Yeah, I love the asset. It's an enhanced version. I mean, I was raised Catholic, and so I always believed in prayer and things like that. But what I've really started to realize is that there's a lot more out there than any one religion or any one sort of philosophy can embrace. And that's really one of the reasons why when I wrote the book, I talked about a lot of the different things that that if you pay attention to, can make a difference. Like, are you paying attention to your dreams, for example? Something that you may not know, and I talk about this in the book. I had a dream that literally saved my life. And if I had not, I would hesitate to think what would have happened if I hadn't been in tune and paying attention to that, because I was literally remembering my dream, walking down the street, and I checked in because what was happening was reminding me of the dream. And I asked my intuition, and it sounds bizarre, but I'm standing in the corner.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah, Ogden and Grand in Chicago, and I'm like, I was on my way for shrimp tacos, and I'm like, hey, can I go for tacos, or do I need to get this checked? And the answer came back immediately: you need to get it checked. And it turned out that my heart was 90% blocked on the left wall, the artery on the left wall, and which was like almost like practically a mirror image of what had happened in the dream. And if I hadn't had the dream, I literally would have ignored it, because it was a big nothing. I mean, I thought I had hurt myself working out, because there's this little weird feeling in my collarbone. That was it. Like,
and
nothing.
You were 90% blocked at what age?
That was 3.5 years ago. So 54.
Man, I have heart problems too. I had a dream this morning that I was showing off for like an audience of people that were all sitting at these different tables, and I could fly around, and I was flying around their tables like doing little poses, and they were like, "Ah, he can fly. That's so cool. What a great trick." And then I landed, and I was in front of the whole audience back up on the stage, and I wanted to jump straight up and show them all how high I could fly. But then suddenly I couldn't, and my whole performance went to shit, and I couldn't fly at all. And everyone started booing and shit. What do you think?
Flight is a common dream, but also as you near the deep sleep back to waking, or REM is where you dream back to waking. It feels like the power of flight leaves you right before you wake up. Like it's
What
slowly
is that
like
about?
you can
Is there
fly, and then all of a sudden you're having trouble flying. Now you can't fly. Now you're awake.
That's exactly what happened. I woke up during the failure.
Right.
Looking into dreams and look, first, what I want to say is I don't think that maybe Eastern culture or hippy dippy medicine, or even regular medicine has a good idea about dreams. But I would guess that we don't know enough about dreaming and how it relates to our reality, to our waking life, not nearly as much as we should.
Oh, totally agree. It was funny when I was working on the book, I was looking up a dream because I used to keep a dream journal. And when you do that, you remember more dreams. Like I went from remembering an occasional dream to like 7 a night. And as I was flipping through an old dream journal, I saw there was a guy named Asa Baber. And I don't know if you remember that name. He was the men columnist for Playboy magazine. And I had met him, and he was really helpful to me with my first book, helped me get my first agent and everything. And in this dream, I had written a dream down about Asa. I didn't remember the dream until I opened the dream journal like a couple of years later. And then, there wasn't really anything super noteworthy about the dream except for the fact that Asa was in the hospital. Well, come to find out, when I'm reading this, Asa had already died. And when I put it all together, because he had ALS, he would almost certainly have been in hospice when I had that dream. And if only when I look back on it, I think, I really wish I had taken that dream that he was in the hospital as a sign to pick up the phone and see how he was doing, which unfortunately I didn't do.
That was your chance to check in this reality. Sometimes
Yeah.
I feel like the dreams that I have are an alternate reality that I'm just getting a picture of, that my soul is living.
Mhm.
I have this little theory that our soul is living multiple realities at the same time, sort of like an AI robot that's learning something. That we have all these lives, that different choices that we could have taken, that are actually existing out there somewhere.
That
In
would
some
be
other
amazing.
dimension. And I think when I
Yeah.
dream, I've had some dreams where I'm like with an ex-girlfriend that I broke up with, but now we're married and we're in this weird place that's like Paris, but a little bit more futuristic, like 20 years from now or something. And I'm like, this is a piece of my could have been life that this piece of my soul isn't living. It's crazy shit, but that's what I think
But
is.
you know what? I've heard of that before. There's a guy, I think his name is Garnet Schulhauser, who wrote a couple of books, and he talks about how his guardian angel or
Sorry,
whatever.
what a name, Garnet Schulhauser.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Yeah, I know it's kind of a wild name, but he was talking about that, how the guy showed him alternate realities, for the entire planet, which was interesting.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's certainly possible.
Yeah, I think it's the way things work, but it's just my opinion. So when you so you haven't quite finished the question of like where your spirituality was at
Uh,
before this and then after.
yeah, it's yeah, fair enough. It's where I was before was, like growing up, and especially I was very, diehard Catholic is probably maybe not the greatest way to phrase it, but I was, going to church and doing all that. And now I'm realizing that I don't feel like I need a church or a temple or anything. And there's no judgment in that. I think everybody does their own thing in their own way. For me, it's like I think you can have a nice connection with the divine, simply through meditation, through spending time in nature, doing things where, I very much believe in God or the universe or whatever you want to call it.
I call it the God brain.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I just don't feel the need to be in a certain place living by man-made rules, in order to honor that.
No,
And
me
that,
either.
that's a very Protestant point of view. And also within the Catholicism, the Jesuits believe in that personal connection with God, as opposed to, having intermediaries like priests and fathers and so on, which is kind of ironic, but, very interested in the fact that the current Pope is the first Jesuit Pope ever, which is
I
really
didn't
cool.
realize that. Yeah, I
Yeah,
went
he's
to
a,
a
he's a
Jesuit
Jesuit.
college. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I love, they do run some cool retreats and things like that. It was the fascinating thing to me, you brought up the Protestant thing. The one religious course that I had to take at Holy Cross was I could take anything, and I took a comparative religion. And there was I ended up writing a paper on the Anglican Roman Catholic agreed statement, because the two churches tried to reunite. And a lot of people don't realize that. And the only point of difference between the two of them is what is a thing called a doctrine of papal infallibility in matters of faith. In other words, that once you become Pope, you become infallible in anything that would require faith. So, like if you said, Mary was a virgin when she had Jesus, and that was a matter of faith, which the Catholic Church would say, yes, it is. But if another Pope came along and said, no, that is in fact not true, then that would be infallible. And to me, it's like, okay, how could you be not infallible on Monday, and then Tuesday you get elected Pope, and now suddenly you're infallible? I think most Catholics probably wouldn't even accept that. I didn't.
Yeah, it's
And that was the only difference between the
That
two
was the
churches.
only point of difference.
How crazy is it? That's a strange thing about mankind in general when it comes to religion. There's all these different forms of Christianity, but a lot of them are just slight differences. Like between Catholicism, you have to go to a priest, or Protestant, you can talk to God yourself, right?
Exactly.
Well,
Well, and there's
yeah.
one. Yeah, Brian Weiss, I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's written a lot of books on past lives and things. And one of his books, at the end of the book, he wrote about the common thread through all religions. Like, what do we all have in common? Which is really powerful to read, because you look at it and you realize that most of the organized religions even have a lot of fundamental beliefs that are exactly the same.
Yeah.
The big three is the same God, right? So Muslim, Christianity, and Judaism, it's the same God. It's just at what point do they branch off and differ and split? But yeah, common thread through all of them.
Yeah, that's what I believe. I don't have a religion per se. That I just believe in a greater, higher power at the center of the universe. I think there's probably more gods than that. So I don't know, because I'm not dead right now, at least.
Not in this reality.
Not
right?
in this particular reality. Yeah, I died in many others, I'm sure. But I think that God in general doesn't give so much of a shit what you think his name or her name is or its name is. And all these religions on earth, people tend to get so caught up in the one true name of God. And I think God is going like,
There's a lot of pluralism in the Bible too. Like, let us make man in our image.
Right in the beginning,
a lot of plurals.
God saw that mankind had become like one of us, and then Catholicism would say that was he's talking about the Holy Spirit and blah blah blah. But then, come on, there's a lot of gods, and there's one in the center of paradise. In whatever this reality is made up of, I think there is probably the one true God, the one creator, badass that controls the whole thing. But the thing is quite big.
Absolutely. Well, that was one of the things that I talk about in the book too, is that, like, I used to, believe that, okay, God is love and you only get one chance, and, that kind of thing. And then I realized that, like, even that, I spent over 34 years volunteering at the Children's Hospital in Chicago. And I realized, as I watched these kids who, some of them didn't make it past a few days, months, or, weeks or whatever. And I thought, there's absolutely no way that a loving God that would be your only chance.
That's your only chance? No.
No way.
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
Love, and that love is empathy. Love is chance after chance after chance after chance. In fact, I'm a really, really imperfect human being. I've done some fucked up shit in my life. And when I almost died, and I talk about this every week, so I won't go into it this week. But the one thing that I learned from my near-death experience is God is love. He, she, it does not care how many chances it takes. He, she, it is waiting for you, loves you unconditionally, and made you because of that. I don't think it's like this one chance and you either go to heaven or hell or get erased world that some people think it is.
Exactly. Well, you know, and I've read and listened to a lot of near-death experiences, and they talk about the life review, and the judgment is you judging yourself. I'm curious, is that what you went through?
Yes, very much so. It was very much like my own soul came to me and showed me all of my mistakes and all the mistakes that I could make in the future, and I could die right now. That was one of the options. But it didn't matter because I was going to live them all over a million times. And all I felt during the storybook opened to show me all these multiverses of my life and my spirit's lives. I could see all these different stories flashing in front of me. But the one thing I felt during all of it was just this unconditional love that whatever choice I chose in the moment, it didn't matter because it was going to be all right.
My fear is that
Even if I died right then,
I'm going to get to the pearly gates, and St. Peter's going to say, when he goes through the list of mistakes I've made, pull up a chair. Let me get the encyclopedia because
well, yeah, that's for all of us.
You're going to be here a while. You're going to be here a while.
Well, it's a good thing there's
scary.
no time in that reality.
There's no time on the other side, so yeah.
That's amazing.
Plus, yeah. I would love to sit on a cloud in front of St. Peter and have him list all the dumbass shit I did in this life. I would be like, this is fun, man. Oh, I blew that one. I blew that one. I blew that one. I'll do better next time.
Here, we have a clip.
It's gonna be exactly.
Yeah, like defending your life. I love that. Yeah, I mean, I've made so many mistakes, but because I know, and this is sort of my spiritual growth, because I know how imperfect I am, and because I've fallen flat on my face and I've made so many mistakes in this life, it's given me much more empathy at an older age for other human beings, because I look at them and I go, oh yeah, been there, done that, made that mistake. I think it's people that can't see themselves in the mirror and see their mistakes that lose track of empathy because they think they're so damn perfect.
Yeah, and that's a scary place to be. I hope I never get there because
yeah, me too.
The mistakes is, I mean, that's where the learning comes from. I mean, to me, that's the magic. There's a quote in the book that one of the priests at Holy Cross said to me, which I loved, which is, God draws straight with crooked lines. And I love that idea because it's not an excuse for bad behavior, but it does give you a little compassion for yourself in the moment to realize that, sometimes you have to do, the wrong thing in order to realize what the right thing is.
Yeah. Yeah. The yin and yang principle of Buddhism. And, you got to fall flat on your face sometimes to learn how to pick yourself up.
Exactly. There's a great quote in Zoo Story like that too. It's sometimes you have to walk a long distance out of the way to come back a short distance correctly, I think is the quote.
That's nice. Yeah. In Zoo Story?
Yeah, Edward Albee.
That's a great play. I did that play when I was young in high school.
That quote, you'll also find that quote in Grumpy Old Men. When she steals his mail, and she sometimes you have to go a long way to come a short way. That same quote. It's great.
But by the way, Rob Sullivan just mentioned Edward Albee and the Zoo Story. It's a play. It's brilliant. Even if you've never read a play, reading that play, I promise you will enjoy it. It's a wonderful play.
I can't get rid of the cat. I'm sorry.
I love that you know it.
Yeah. It's such a good play. It's about these two guys that run into each other in the park, and I won't ruin it for you because it's really deep, but it's just wonderful. It reminds me a little bit of another playwright. What was the guy that wrote Waiting for Godot? Except Edward is a little bit more, straightforward.
Yeah, I can't think of his name. I know who you're talking about.
Amazing guy. I wanted to do a movie about him, the guy that wrote Waiting for Godot. Can't think of his name right now, though. So what I got a little cheat sheet here. Why is it important to follow your inner compass? And what do you mean by that?
So following that is really it's looking for being aware of and paying attention to the signs. Because and it matters, one of the last stories in the book is my friend Kristen from high school. And Kristen's a great example of this. When we were in high school, and it's weird, I was just thinking about her tonight too. She had hurt her knee and had knee surgery. Now, knee surgery when we were in high school was a big deal. She was in traction. She was in this machine that was like keeping her leg moving and all this. And she ended up in a special ed gym class, basically. And she's thinking to herself, I'm an athlete. I'm a lacrosse player. What am I doing with all the special ed kids? And through that experience, though, she ended up getting, these kids who she would have had no contact with, ended up becoming friends. She got really involved in Special Olympics. Now, fast forward, her son is a special needs kid, and she's been an advocate for him. And she's managed to get him integrated in society in a way that he wouldn't have been when we were in high school. And she was the one who said it. Sometimes when you look in the rearview mirror, these things line up perfectly, but we're not paying attention to it at the time. And there's an element of trusting that even though you might be going through some stuff that you'd rather not be going through, that maybe there's a reason for it. And maybe it's going to, be one of those signposts in that journey along the way that at some point will make sense. And to your point, maybe it'll be after we're gone. Maybe it'll be, later, much later in life. But when you realize that the universe is conspiring to deliver these incredible experiences, and I do believe that it changes your perspective on the things that happen, which is why, like, almost from the beginning, maybe not from the very first day, but pretty much from the early on when I got the tumors, I knew it was a gift. I didn't know what the gift was, but I knew that it was a gift.
So tell me the positive that you got out of this whole experience.
Wow. It's kind of like the life review. How much time do you have? But the biggest thing was really realizing, for example, that tears of joy. I thought that was just like a BS kind of literary thing.
No
They're
way.
real.
They're
Yeah.
real. Yeah.
And it blew my mind. It opened me up emotionally in ways that I would never have expected. Like I said, feeling love from complete strangers and knowing that it was true and real. It was so beautiful that it's a weird analogy, but the one that comes to mind is it's probably like, for an Olympian, like once you've won a gold medal, it's like, okay, well, geez, what else is there? And after I went through it, I didn't feel it to quite that same level, but I remember being really clear with God or the universe or whatever. It was a beautiful experience. I don't want to go through it again just to feel that. I want to remember that, hold on to it, find it in other like healthier ways, if you will. But to know that is there and to just have that completely change you. It was beautiful. It's hard to describe. And I'm not sitting here saying that that's it's certainly not the only way to get it, I'm sure. And nor do I think that, everybody going through something like that has to turn around and view it as a gift, because, for me, that was what helped me get through it faster, because I wasn't fighting it. I was walking with it. And there's a huge difference. Like I never said, you'll hear people say that they have tumors. I never used those words because that's a possession. It wasn't a possession. I would say, and a friend of mine helped me with this, we talked about, I was experiencing tumors. Huge difference. It's like you're
no
experiencing a cold, it's not going to stick around forever, and just to realize that, there are, with any lesson in life, the quicker you learn it, the quicker you move on.
So I've got a question too. You seem like an athlete type of guy, right? Were you an athlete? Are you a bodybuilder type of dude?
Yeah, I work out at the gym a lot. I was a diver in high school. Some people would argue that maybe that's not quite being an athlete, but it was a fun sport.
Hey, I put my hands behind my back. I get myself all nice, and it just you kick. It depends on the currents and everything else, but it's still exercise.
Yeah.
Hey,
Oh, you're talking
Greg-
about scuba.
Greg
I was actually
Louganis.
talking about springboard. I do scuba too.
Oh, you were diving.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
diving.
like
yeah,
Greg,
yeah.
Greg Louganis kind of diving.
All right,
Yeah.
that's a sport. Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Diving
Oh,
is
he was a great diver. I
Oh,
love
he
Oh
was
my
him.
great.
God, that guy's incredible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
amazing.
I still
Um,
watch those videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So why do you think you must have treated your body well? Did you do drugs throughout your life? Did you do steroids? Did you do any of that stuff? So
No.
why do you think the heart condition, was it genetic? And
Yeah.
why do you think the cancer? I mean, did you ever get those answers or
Yeah, I did actually. Well, the heart thing was a little bit easier. There was definitely a history that I wasn't aware of. I found out later that my mom's uncles, almost all of them died of heart issues. Some in their 40s. And so but I didn't know that until after the fact. And I'm not obviously blaming her for that. It's just I
No,
think
it's in my life too, and I'm
yeah,
really concerned about it because the one guy that it killed at 40, I look exactly like, 50 years
wow,
ago. Uncle Clyde died at 50 of
yeah,
heart disease on
which
the
is
table.
oh wow,
Yeah,
yeah,
because it was
that's
50 years ago. They didn't,
yeah,
they weren't quite as good as they are now. But
yeah, exactly,
I'm really interested in this only for selfish reasons because I
yeah.
have heart concerns, and my
Yeah,
family all dies of heart disease.
I have heard that there are some really interesting like tests that you can do where they can like do a screen and see like, how are your arteries right now and staying on top of that. Like I'm definitely, I'm, where I didn't want to take Ritalin and Prozac, I'm happy to take Valsartan and, statins or whatever's
That's
going to keep my
statin, yeah.
cholesterol and blood pressure down because I have no interest in checking out early. So the first answer to your question is genetics. The second answer, although I do think that there was I think the universe knew it would make a good chapter in the book too. But on the lymphoma side of things, that was a different story. Um, I had a year before that, I'd been in a relationship with that I really thought was promising. She was one of the people that I thought, oh wow, I could marry this woman. And through a variety of things that happened, she ended up doing a bit of a disappearing act. And I don't blame her for that, by the way. She and I are still friends, because we reconnected later. But I was circling the drain emotionally for a year. Just really feeling sorry for myself. I was mad. I was depressed. And I really do believe that you can't have negative energy flowing through your body for the better part of a year and not expect that there's going to be a consequence. And in my case, the consequence was, the biggest tumor, a 5 by 7 by 8 centimeter tumor sitting right on top of my heart. The symbolism of that was
Wow.
not lost on me at all.
Awesome. I mean, awesome that it was not lost on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I tell my heterosexual life mate, Valerie Boggs, she stresses hard all the time. She's just full of stress. And I'm like, Val, there's nothing more in this life, and I truly believe this, uh, that can end your life sooner than stress. Maybe radiation, like nuclear radiation, bombs or bullets or things like that. But as far as our personal thing, I think stress is totally a killer. And if we don't learn how to manage our stress and chill out and not hold our breath and all those things, they can lead to horrible, horrible incidents.
People with pets live
Getting
longer.
Yes, they do. Like I
do.
can't tell you when I go home and I'm stressing and I've realized that my heart's been beating too fast all day. I take a heart medicine as well, a statin and a metoprolol, but I'll still just get all stressed out for no reason whatsoever. Just letting smartphones and the world and friends and too much information and I got to be here, there, and everywhere get to me. But then I'll go home and I'll touch my cat, and immediately I can feel my blood pressure slow down. I can feel my heart slow down. I can feel my breath slow down. It's the same holding my wife. It's the same love,
Yeah.
like, right? Love in any way, shape, or form is can be a curative. I believe that.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
my dad's deathbed advice, and he died of heart failure, was smile more. you know, and he was a doc, but that was like his big thing at the end. And I remember mean, that's powerful because, like, I grew up in downtown Chicago, smiling a lot, especially not at complete strangers, is not something I do naturally. But like, it's in those moments where you talk about being stressed, it does. I remind myself, the gratitude journal, for example, that I talk about in the book, that makes a huge difference. If you go to bed and you consciously say to yourself, what are 5 things I'm grateful for? Better if you write it down, but even if you're just laying there thinking about it, and let your, not just doing it as a rote exercise of, oh, I'm grateful for my health and I'm grateful for this, but like really let it
Really
put a big
being
smile on
humble.
your face.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like, whoa, what
Yeah.
do I have? What do I have that yeah. Cool. So this book, A Trek Within, tell us where you can get it, because I'm not sure if it's in the description below, Cassie. I
Yeah,
don't think it is.
you can get it on, you can order it. Any bookstore would have it. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on, there's an audio version of it if you want to hear me and this British woman who does the stories that were written by women in it. If you
Oh,
want to hear
cool.
that's kind of a cool way to do it. And by the way, if you think she'd be into it, send me her address and I'll send her a copy of it.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah, she would. She loves to read. So I dig that. So just look up Rob Sullivan and check out your books anywhere you want to buy your books.
Yeah,
All
absolutely.
right, cool. Tyson, you got anything else for Mr. Rob Sullivan, or are we gonna go to our guests? What time is it?
We're going to go to our guest, but first, and just because we have a few extra seconds here, I'm going to tell you the snake thing. I already told it to Manu.
All right.
So there's a guy fishing, and he's having a great day at the lake, and he runs out of bait. He looks over and he sees a snake with a frog in its mouth, and he thinks, I guess frogs make good bait. So he's going to take it out of the snake's mouth. Grabs the snake behind the back of the head where he knows he's not going to get bit, and he pulls the frog out and he puts it in his bait bucket. Now he realizes he has a problem, because how is he going to let go of the snake without getting bit? So he picks up a bottle of Jim Beam, puts it in the snake's mouth and pours it down, and the snake's eyes roll back, and he tosses the snake away, and he chops up the frog and he starts fishing again. Well, a little while later, he feels a tug at his pant leg, and he looks down, and there's the snake, this time with 2 frogs in his mouth.
Do you have the hick hat?
Oh my God! Yeah,
Come
I'll do
on,
that only
it's
once.
such a better
Just
joke. It's
once.
such a better joke. If we're gonna smile more, that's a better joke.
All right,
Here we
all
go.
right. I gotta take the headphones
All
off
right.
for this. All right, here's a cowboy.
Good evening.
Oh.
The time is.
I know what time it is.
Thank you, Siri.
Cowboy, right? It's all in how you wear the hat. There's a cowboy. What's the difference between a cowboy and a hick? Cowboy? Hick.
Come on, that one's good. That one's good.
Oh, it's so stupid.
I think it's
Cowboy.
fantastic because you look like a cowboy, kinda, but the hick you pull
I
off.
really look like a hick.
Yeah, like a 100%. All right, so we've got
Okay.
some
Oh.
questions for Rob Sullivan before Dangerous Thoughts ends this week. I actually really liked the show this week. It wasn't so full of dangerous thoughts. It was more about loving yourself and healing, and this was fun. I'm glad to have you on. Chuck Pearson. Chuck Pearson is a friend of
Whoa.
mine from high school, and he has been coming on the last couple of weeks. It's been nice to see him again. Makes me smile more to see Chuck Pearson. Hey, man, what's happening?
Chilling, Manu, just chilling, checking out your show and listening in, man.
Right on.
The thing I heard earlier was something about sales. Did I hear something about sales?
Oh, Rob, he used to do option trading and sales and all sorts of life stuff.
Here's my question, man. I have an eBay online store. How do I get more conversions? How do I make more money on eBay? Go, bam.
If I knew the right answer to that, I would be I would be on a private island somewhere and we'd be talking remotely.
Woo!
Yeah.
Good luck with that, though. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So wait,
That's
Chuck,
what I'm looking into.
I love it. We do a whole show about love, and you're like, "Show me the money, motherfucker."
Yeah, I was like, I heard you talking about humility, and I thought, oh no, I'm about to ask the most non-humble related question on the
No,
air
it's all
about
right.
finances.
Because if you get more money, then your friends get more money, your family gets more money. If you're a decent person,
I
and
guess.
Chuck, I know you're a decent person. So what are you selling on eBay?
Oh, video games and jewelry, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you how to get more money right now because I learned this from my buddy Cassie. You live in a town like Colorado Springs or something like that, where it's like a military town where people have to come in and buy a house and put up their house, and they're maybe only there for 2 years before they get sent somewhere else, right? So you move to a military town, you go on Facebook Marketplace, and you look for all these military guys that are moving, and they don't have time to sell their shit, so they're just giving it away free. You drive your truck over there, you pick all that shit up free, you bring it back to your house, and you sell it on eBay, and you don't have to spend $1 to sell it, but you need a truck with a flat.
I live in San Diego, which is a military town. That ain't working here, but then again, California is pretty expensive. I'll shut up now.
I don't know where I'd do that here, but it sounds like a good thought, man. I'll keep it in mind. I'll keep figuring something out.
Chuck, in
I've
LA, I would go up to Beverly Hills all the time and find free shit that was like really expensive furniture. People would just throw that shit out.
You know what's crazy is I didn't even expect to get the little few sales I did get already. So I'm pretty stoked it's come about as much as it has. It's it's not going to pay the bills, but it's just a little bit of money here and there. I thought
that's always good.
The thrift store is another place. I found this. Do I have it? Where is it? Here.
Exciting
Unopened.
TV. Your bum looking for something.
Sorry. Unopened, still sealed Star Trek Generations Laserdisc. These are hard to find in the best of times.
That is
You just broke the rules. I told everybody
that would go for big
tonight
sales
on all platforms. We will not mention Star Trek tonight, and you broke the fucking rules.
Well, you didn't. I did. You didn't. But
hey, I spent a lot of
$1.99. $1.99. $1.99 is what I got that for. And on eBay I could sell this for $50 or more.
Star
Buck
Trek.
99.
Fan. I love the fans. I love the fans, except for the haters. Okay, Rob. I got a question for you that was related. A Trek Within. Have you written? It sounds like you've written a bunch of other books. So tell me some of these other things that you've written.
Yeah, I wrote one other book. It's called Getting Your Foot in the Door When You Don't Have a Leg to Stand On. It was a job search book.
Chuck, there you go. You want to make more money?
Fun. I may research that one. Yeah, cool. Thanks, Rob.
Sure.
And
hey,
nice talking to you, Tyson.
Hey, Chuck, where are you? Are you an AG still?
I'm an AG, man. I'm only a short walk from the village of Arroyo Grande, man.
Come on, then go. I bet you Facebook Marketplace in San Luis Obispo with those college students and those rich people up there. They give away shit. Go pick it up.
Video games and jewelry, right? Yeah, there gotta be something I can do there.
All right, who do we got? Yeah, nice to see you, Chuck. Who we got next?
We got Dave.
Dave. Oh God.
You got your clothes on?
Dave,
Yes,
are your clothes
yes,
on before you come on camera? Okay.
Yes,
all right. Dave is dressed. Well, Dave had a little bit of a low point this week.
Lower than low. It's humiliatingly low. So
Dave's gonna quit drinking.
Are there pictures? That's what I want. Are there pictures?
There are no
Did
pictures.
anybody think?
Thank God, no.
Actually, there is one picture of him passed out on the floor, but he is clothed. That was before it went over the edge.
Yeah, saying so. I dumped all my alcohol down the drain last night, so there's not a drop of alcohol.
Honestly, Dave, I think you should do what Rob said earlier, and I'll let you ask the question. But he said those 5 things that you're humble and thankful for. Like 1, I'm your friend. 2, Cassie's your friend. 3, Tyson's your friend. We all love you. We all care about you. We all would do anything to try to help you out. And you've got people that love you, man. And I'm sure there's other things that you're humble for as well. So
yeah, and that's
might help with your depression and your alcoholism.
Yeah, see, I've never been that bad before. Well, it's kind of the last couple of weeks has kind of gone that downward spiral, but I don't know. Just like I think that was my final awakening to follow my inner compass to say, done. I need to try a different path. Just stick to marijuana.
We're gonna eat some mushrooms, Dave.
Yeah, that
I was going to ask Rob this too. Did you try any walk into the spiritual path like ayahuasca or anything when you were trying to heal?
No, you know what? I had a couple of opportunities to do it, and I didn't because, well, this is going to sound weird maybe, but like I have a lot of neck related fears, and the idea of throwing up, which is something that happens from that, is a bit terrifying to me. One of my past lives supposedly was having my head chopped off. So as neck
Oh, we've
related,
all had that happen.
yeah. But yeah, so I didn't, and the other reason I didn't was like, I didn't really feel like there was a lot of times where people get the most out of that, there's a question or there's something that they're grappling with. And for me to just do it out of curiosity had bad trip written all over it.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it comes along when you
Exactly.
need it. Honestly, I'm a big fan of hallucinogens and the shamans. You mentioned a shaman, and so I
Yeah.
thought, okay, maybe he'd experimented with some
Well, that's what you and I have in
psychedelic
common,
medicine.
and what we have different though, right? Because you and I both have panic attacks, anxiety disorder, but you've done all these drugs, and for me, like the 3 times I've tried marijuana in my life, I the worst panic attack ever, and I've never touched it since. Like I get really bad panic attacks, and I just know if I try an illicit drug, I'm gonna be having a horrible trip. Mono, on the
But
other hand, you
I
tried it
do
all.
everything. I've done it all. Yeah. And in fact, I wouldn't consider hallucinogens drugs. I don't think they should be put on the same platform as other medicines. Hallucinogenics are, for the most part, medicine. Maybe acid I would keep off the list because it's
Yeah.
man-made. But all the mushrooms,
Psilocybin.
ayahuasca, DMT, as long as you're getting a good shaman and a quality substance that you can trust, are really helpful for, I think, the spiritual and the physical rehabilitation if they call to you. Anyway, let me try Katie. Is Katie still here? Katie, you're going to be the last question of the night, and then we're going to end dangerous tonight. Loving thoughts with Tyson and Manu and Rob Sullivan.
Good morning.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Now, I actually have a question. You were saying about recurring numbers, and for several years now, the numbers 1515 have been really bothering me. And for love nor money, I cannot figure out what they mean. I have meditated on it. I have tried lucid dreaming. I've tried everything, but I can't work it out at all.
Have you looked it up? Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah. Have you looked at Joanne Sacred Scribes? Is the one that I use for that. And I'll just type in 1515 angel number, Joanne, and whatever she has to say about it will show up. It's interesting how often what she says is exactly relevant to what I'm experiencing in that moment. So I would definitely check that out.
I'm actually having a lot of number stuff come up lately too. So what was that? Joanne at Sacred Scribes?
Her whole thing is like, I think it's Joanne Sacred Scribes. And Nadia, this woman who I actually interviewed on my first podcast episode, who's the most amazing psychic I've ever met. That's the one that she works with. So that's, I just use that one because I don't pretend to be an expert.
So if you just Google Joanne Sacred Scribes, you'll get it.
Yeah, and if you take like in this case for 1515, I would type in 1515 angel number because they're referred to as angel numbers, and then Joanne, and that'll get you right to her page.
Wow, and 555 is transformation. Not necessarily of some kind, big transformation.
Yeah, major life change.
Wild.
Yeah, so many people in the past with recurring numbers and with their own spirituality. I've given them readings and all sorts, but for some reason I can't work this out for myself, and it really does my head in because I've had prophetic dreams. I've gone into trance. I've done astral projection, psychometry, tarot. I've done so much, but this one thing is just really doing my head in.
Wow.
Can I be honest with everybody right now? Why not? Right? It's dangerous thoughts. You know, my near-death experience that I said I wasn't going to go on and on about.
Yeah.
One of the choices that I did make, there was a multitude of choices that I was given, but I made the choice that my spirit told me for sure if I made this choice, I was going to die soon, and so I think I'm definitely not on this earth for much longer. So if you love me, show me the love now, because I'm probably pretty soon. I'll come back, but not as Manu.
Make sure that my name features prominently in your will. That's the only thing.
Okay. Deal. Thanks for the love, Tyson. You son of a
Katie,
bitch.
one more thought. You know, that 1515 might also just be your, like, for some people, there's a number that just shows up that, for lack of a better word, it's like it's a way to just, it's like the universe smiling at you saying, hey, you're on the right path, doing the right thing. You know, for me, that's the month and in the year I was born. I see that combination a lot. A friend of mine has another one that is very meaningful to him that just kind of that bounces up from time to time. It could just be the little wink from the universe.
I love the little wink from the universe, and this is, I think, where we'll go off on. All right, I've told this story before, but not for a while. I'm making this show called Star Crew, Rob. It's basically Galaxy Quest meets Shaun of the Dead. Bunch of actors go to their own world to find their heroes to try to save themselves from the villain in their movie that's attacking Earth. You get it? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get this show off, and I was thinking I had all these partners and all these investors and people that were putting money into it, but I had like a few people that were close to my inner circle, and I found myself on a movie set in Seattle, and I was in my hotel room that night thinking as hard as I could about how I could fuck all these people over that were in my inner circle and how I could make them sign contracts so that I could keep everything, so that I could keep all the profits of Star Crew if it went somewhere. And I was just going like, okay, how can I trick him and trick her and trick him and make sure that it's all mine at the end, even though they've put in just as much work as me. And I was like, my precious, I was getting really fucked up, right? I walked outside and I lit a cigarette, which is not the greatest thing to do for your health, but I lit a cigarette and I looked up at the sky over the Seattle skyline. And there was this big crane. And on the crane were these big letters, these big glowing letters. And the letters said Alliance in like godlike size. It's just like this huge Alliance was above the Seattle skyline. And it dawned on me right then, God, that little tap, tap, tap. But hey, go look up what that word means, because that word is important. So I went up, got my phone out, didn't have a dictionary, but I looked into the dictionary on my phone, and I looked up an alliance. And an alliance is about, basically not remembering the exact definition, but something that benefits all who are involved.
A partnership, right?
A partnership, right? And I went, wow. I was just on the exact wrong path, wrong thought process, wrong egotistical, self-serving nonsense that God had to go, Alliance, So I love those little taps. At least you
saw it and you recognized it.
Yeah. And we have to, in the morning, that's Dave and Chuck, that's the thing we have to be, I believe, that we have to be open to, is waking up and reminding ourselves to be, what's the word, Rob?
More, I don't know, compassionate, loving. I'm not sure where you're going.
Well, I'm trying to say, I'm trying to say aware? Open to, aware. Yeah.
Aware. Yeah.
To try to ask whatever your God is, your God brain, your Jesus, your Buddha, to be open to and aware. Talk to me today. I'm listening, before you go to sleep and before you wake up. I want you to talk to me today. I want you to convene with me. I want to do my work for you, whatever your version of God is. And if you do that, you'll be more aware, and you'll get more taps on the shoulder, and you'll get more of those moments that you talked about tears of joy, because you'll see something happen that you might not have been aware of if you didn't focus on that morning and that evening. So
absolutely. And there's another, like a similar thing, like if you put it out there and say, let me show up for somebody, you know, for whom I might make a difference. You know,
Awesome.
is a really powerful thing to do too. And it blows my mind when I think to do it, what shows up.
Yeah, when you can be helpful for other people, it's if you were raised right, it's quite a rush. Or if you have a soul that, you know, was raised right in some other lifetime, it's quite a rush too. Rob, it's been great to talk to you. Thanks for writing your book. Thanks for doing your podcast. I'd love to come on at some time. Otherwise, I'll just watch.
I would love to have you. Yeah, that'd be great.
Right quick, comment was up. Tyson, you took Katie's branding down, or her advertisement down, but her blog
sorry.
is up on the website.
Katie's blog. Oh yeah, and everybody that's watching, you know, the latest entry on my blog is about acupressure massage. Next week is about spiritual healing. By the way, Katie, my lady is suffering with so much pain in her back, and I'm trying to get her to go down and get some acupuncture, which is similar to acupressure, right?
Yeah, acupuncture, they use needles on your pressure points, whereas acupressure, it's fingertip pressure.
Because she's gotten acupuncture just a few times, but every time she's got it, it's helped her. And I'm trying to fight her to be like, let's do it again. It helped last time.
I had it today. It's great. I love it.
It's great, right? Yeah. Did you?
You know,
That's why you're so peaceful and chill in this whole interview.
Really does work. My massage therapist does acupressure on me every time I go for a session, and it is amazing, especially at the bottom of my back, because I suffer with my back and my hips, and the BL23 pressure points are they're beautiful.
I found the best thing for pain in the world. The best thing, Vicodin. Vicodin.
I knew you were going to say that.
I'm just being real. Keeping it real.
Credits.
And that's Dangerous Thoughts. See you guys next week.
No, we're not going to take shelter. Where the fuck are you from? California. Why are we taking shelter? California. Go figure. I'll tell you what we're going to do, Callie. We're going to stand right the fuck here and watch it, because that's what Okies do. Oh, my fuck. You want me to take you to shelter? Get in the truck. I'll take you to the community shelter. Wouldn't we be safer in this building? This is a 10 fucking building, brother. A tornado's native foods are trailers, okay? It's made out of this same shit. Now quit crying and get in the fucking truck. Okay. Get in. And if you slam my door, I'm gonna slam your face in the dashboard. I brought you into the past so you can see there's nothing to fucking be scared of. Quit being a baby. Now quick ride, open your eyes, look. Just fucking win, man. Oh, this one looks like it grew. Oh, shit. Oh, yeah, it definitely grew. Ah, this is a good man. Goddamn, hey, I may have just killed her. I miscalculated. Yeah, this is at least a true. Hey, man, you're about to meet Jesus. Fuck it beats dying in bed. At least this way we'll make the news. Hey, Travis Fire,
take it to them. Ruin their motivation to survive. Where I reside is like a jungle, hold the rest of a nation. You couldn't hold me like a tongue, your knees collapsing away. Hey, gorilla hearted, I'm beating my chest to stay alive. Take it to them. Ruin their motivation to survive. Where I reside is like a jungle, hold the rest of a nation. You couldn't hold me like a tongue, your knees collapsing away. Hey, gorilla hearted, I'm beating my chest to stay alive. Hey.